The mop hit the floor with a wet slap. Elena Ashford didn't look up. She never did. Firebase Vanguard, Northern Idaho. Elevation 7,000 feet. Wind howling at 40 miles per hour outside the reinforced walls. Inside, the scent of industrial cleaner mixed with gun oil and stale coffee. 23 soldiers of Delta Company moved through their morning routines. 23 men. And Elena. She was small, 5'6", maybe 126 pounds soaking wet. Brown hair pulled back tight in a regulation bun. Gray eyes that never quite met anyone else's. At 27 years old, she'd been at Vanguard for 7 months. Facilities maintenance, they called it. The janitor, everyone else called her. She pushed the mop across the common room floor, back and forth, methodical, silent. "Hey, Ashford," the voice came from the card table. Corporal Garrison Hale, 6'2", 215 pounds of muscle and attitude. 33 years old and proud of every scar he'd earned in 11 years of service. He didn't look up from his cards. "Yeah, you, mop girl." Elena kept working. The floor was already clean. She'd mopped it twice this morning, but Garrett had told her to do it again, so she did it again. Bathroom's filthy. Third stall. Someone missed the bowl, if you know what I mean. Garrett laid down a card. The other soldiers at the table laughed. "That's your job, right? Cleaning up shit?" Elena straightened, picked up her bucket, walked toward the bathroom without a word. "That's what I thought," Garrett called after her. "No rank, no worth, Ashford. Remember that." The bathroom door closed behind her. Elena set down the bucket, stared at herself in the mirror. Gray eyes stared back, cold, empty. She'd heard worse, much worse. Women belong in the kitchen, not the kill zone. That was Garrett's favorite. He said it at least once a day, sometimes twice. The other soldiers never stopped him. Staff Sergeant Brennan Wolfe, their platoon leader, pretended not to hear. 36 years old, career military, and he couldn't be bothered to stop one corporal from running his mouth. Elena knelt by the third stall. It was clean. It was always clean. But she scrubbed it anyway, on her hands and knees, the way Garrett liked to see her. The tile was cold against her palms. She focused on that, the cold, the repetitive motion, anything to keep her mind from drifting back. But it always drifted back. 7 years old, hospital room, the smell of antiseptic and death. Her mother's hand in hers, so thin the bones felt like bird wings. "Mommy, don't leave me alone." Victoria Ashford's smile was weak. Breast cancer, stage 4. The doctors had given up 3 weeks ago. Now it was just waiting. "You'll never be alone, baby." Her mother's voice was a whisper. "I'll be in the wind. When you feel the breeze, that's me. When you hear it sing, that's me talking to you. Listen for me, Elena. Always listen." 2 hours later, Victoria Ashford was gone. Elena stood from the bathroom floor. Her knees ached. She was 27 years old, and her knees ached from kneeling on tile. This was her life now. She picked up the bucket, walked back to the common room. Garrett was still at the card table. He glanced up as she passed. "Good girl," he said. "See how easy life is when you know your place?" Elena said nothing. She never said anything. The break room was empty. She dumped the bucket in the utility sink, rinsed it, hung the mop. Her hands moved automatically. 7 months of the same routine. Wake up, clean, get insulted, clean more, go to bed, repeat. This was what safety looked like. She walked to the small window that overlooked the motor pool. Outside, snow was starting to fall. Big, fat flakes that would turn into a full blizzard by nightfall. The weather report said minus 32 degrees by midnight, wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour, visibility near zero. Elena pressed her palm against the glass. Cold seeped through. Her body temperature was always low, 95.2 degrees Fahrenheit, according to the last medical check. The doctors said it was unusual, but not dangerous. They didn't understand what it meant. She did. Her reflection stared back at her in the window. Hollow eyes. Hollow life. This wasn't who she was supposed to be. 8 years old. Montana ranch. Summer sun beating down. The crack of a rifle shot echoing across the valley. Again, her father said. Colonel Nathaniel Ashford, retired. 59 years old now, but back then he was in his prime. Tall, solid. A man who'd spent 30 years in the Marines and came out the other side mostly intact. Mostly. Dad, I hit the target. I didn't say you missed. I said again. Elena was 8 years old, and the rifle was almost as big as she was. But she'd been shooting since the day after her mother's funeral. Dad said Mom wanted her strong. This was how you got strong. She settled into position, breathed in, breathed out. The rifle's weight was familiar now, comfortable. Feel the wind, Dad said. Don't fight it. Breathe with it. She closed her eyes. The wind brushed her face. She could hear it, really hear it. Not just the whoosh of air, but something deeper, a hum, a frequency. 42 hertz, though she didn't know the number back then. She just knew the sound. The wind told her where to aim. She opened her eyes, adjusted, fired. 600 yards away, the target pinged. Dead center. Dad nodded. Good. Now do it 999 more times. She did. Every day for the next 11 years. By the time she was 19, she could shoot the wings off a fly at 1,000 meters. By 21, she'd graduated top of her class at sniper school. By 23, she had a reputation. By 25, she had a body count. The break room door opened. Elena turned from the window. Private First Class Donovan Reed stepped in. 21 years old. Baby-faced. He'd been at Vanguard for 3 months and still had that fresh out of basic look. He saw Elena and hesitated. Ma'am, sorry, I didn't mean ma'am. You're not an officer, It's fine, Elena said. Her voice was quiet. She hadn't used it much in 7 months. It sounded rusty. I wanted to say, Donovan shifted his weight. What Garrett said earlier, that was wrong. You work hard. You don't deserve that. Elena studied him. Most soldiers ignored her. A few, like Garrett, actively tormented her. But Donovan was different. He still saw people as people. Thank you, she said. I told him to stop once. Garrett, He laughed at me, said I was soft. Donovan looked down. Maybe I am. You're not soft. You're decent. There's a difference. Donovan smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Decent doesn't seem to count for much here. He left. Elena turned back to the window. Decent. Her mother had been decent. Look where that got her. Dead at 34, body eaten by cancer, leaving behind a 7-year-old daughter and a husband who didn't know how to talk about feelings. Elena pressed her forehead against the glass. The cold felt good. Grounding. 19 years old. Fort Benning. Sniper school. The instructors said she had a gift. What they meant was, you're scary good at killing people from very far away. She met Iris Blackwell there. Captain Iris Blackwell, 28 years old, already a legend. They called her the Reaper. She had 43 confirmed kills across 3 deployments. But that wasn't what made her special. What made her special was that she treated killing like surgery. Precise, clean, necessary but never celebrated. You shoot like someone who's trying to prove something, Iris said after watching Elena qualify. I'm not trying to prove anything. Good. The moment you start shooting to prove something, you've lost the plot. Iris handed her a water bottle. You shoot to protect. That's it. The moment it becomes about you, you need to put the rifle down and walk away. They became friends, then partners, then something closer than that. Not romantic, deeper. The kind of bond that forms when you trust someone with your life and they trust you with theirs. Iris taught Elena everything. Not just shooting, but how to carry the weight of it. How to live with what you'd done. How to look at yourself in the mirror the next morning. Every person you kill is a choice, Iris said once. You choose to pull that trigger. You choose to end that life. Don't hide from that choice. Own it, because if you don't own it, it'll own you. Elena owned it. For 6 years, she owned it. Until she didn't. 25 years old. Syria. Desert heat and dust that got into everything. Elena and Iris on Overwatch. Protecting an extraction team pulling out high-value assets. The mission was simple. Watch the street. Report enemy movement. If anyone threatened the extraction, eliminate them. Contact, Iris said. 11 o'clock. Rooftop. Single individual. Armed. Elena scanned through her scope. Found him. Male, mid-30s, a K-47, contained perfectly to ambush the extraction team as they came out. I have the shot, Elena said. Wait for verification, Iris said. Command wants positive ID before engagement. They waited. The extraction team was moving. 30 seconds until they hit the kill zone. Command, this is Reaper 2-1, requesting weapons-free authorization. Target is in position to engage friendlies. Over. The radio crackled. Static. More static. Command, do you copy? Requesting immediate authorization. Over. More static. 20 seconds. Elena's finger rested on the trigger. The man on the rooftop was shifting position, bringing his rifle up. Command, we need authorization now. Over. 15 seconds. Elena. Iris's voice was calm, too calm. If command doesn't clear us, we can't engage. Rules of engagement. You know this. He's going to kill them. We don't know that. He could be security, could be local militia. We need confirmation. 10 seconds. The man's rifle was up, aiming down at the street. Iris, he's taking aim. I see it. Command, this is Reaper 2-1. We have imminent threat to friendly forces. Requesting emergency weapons free. Over. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2. Screw this, Iris said. She adjusted her aim. I'm taking the shot. 1. Iris fired. The same instant she fired, the man on the rooftop fired. Not at the extraction team. At them. At Iris and Elena. He'd seen them. Probably seen them 5 minutes ago. Had been waiting for them to reveal their position. Iris's shot hit him center mass. He went down. His shot hit Iris. The bullet entered through the gap in her armor. Right side, just below the ribs. It was a lucky shot. Or unlucky, depending on perspective. It tore through her liver and lodged near her spine. Elena dropped her rifle, grabbed Iris. Blood was everywhere. So much blood. Apply pressure, Iris said. Her voice was tight. Call for medevac. I'm calling. Elena's hands were shaking. She'd never shaken before. Not once in 6 years. Stay with me. Stay with me. 4 seconds, Iris whispered. What? You hesitated 4 seconds, waiting for authorization. If you'd taken the shot when I first called it in, Iris coughed, blood on her lips. 4 seconds, that's all it was. Don't do that, this isn't my fault. Not saying it is. Iris's eyes were starting to lose focus. Just saying 4 seconds. Sometimes that's all the time you have. To choose, to act. 4 seconds can save a life, or end one. The medevac took 18 minutes to arrive. Iris died in 14. Elena held her the entire time, felt the life drain out of her, felt the moment when her breathing stopped and her heart quit, and there was nothing left but a body that used to be someone. The last thing Iris said was, "Not your fault. 4 seconds is nothing. You'll save thousands. Promise me you'll keep going." Elena promised. She lied. The break room at Firebase Vanguard was cold. Elena stood at the window and watched the snowfall. It was heavier now. The blizzard was coming early. She'd requested transfer to non-combat duty 3 weeks after Iris died. The military granted it. They were good about that, actually. If you said you couldn't handle it anymore, they found you something else to do. Something safe. Something that didn't involve rifles or scopes or counting the seconds between inhale and trigger pull. So here she was. Facilities maintenance, the janitor, scrubbing toilets for men who thought she was less than them. Living in a world where her biggest decision each day was whether to mop the floor twice or 3 times. This was safety. This was penance. This was the closest thing to peace she could find. The door opened again. Staff Sergeant Brennan Wolfe stepped in. He looked at Elena like she was a piece of furniture he'd forgotten was there. Ashford. Supply run to Checkpoint Delta got delayed. Storms coming in too fast. We're locked down for the night. Yes, Sergeant. Make sure the generators are fueled. We lose power in this cold, people die. Yes, Sergeant. He left. Elena stood there for another moment. Then she walked to the utility closet, grabbed her coat, and headed outside to check the generators. The wind hit her like a fist. -20 already and dropping fast. The snow wasn't falling anymore. It was being driven sideways by 70-mile-per-hour gusts. Elena pulled her hood tight and walked across the compound. The generators were in a concrete bunker on the north side. She punched in the access code and stepped inside. Warmer here. The big diesel engines thrummed steadily. She checked the fuel levels. Full. Checked the oil. Good. Everything was running smoothly. She stood there in the warm bunker and didn't want to leave. Outside was cold. Outside was Garrett and his insults. Outside was Brennan and his indifference. Outside was a life that felt like it belonged to someone else. Inside was warm. Inside was the steady rhythm of engines. Inside was a moment where she could just be. Her phone buzzed. She pulled it out. Text from a number she hadn't seen in almost 2 years. Need to talk. Important. Come by when you can. Merrick, Sergeant Major Callahan Merrick. Retired. 64 years old. He lived in a cabin 18 miles from Vanguard. Lived alone. Kept to himself. Elena had met him exactly once, at Iris's funeral. He'd been Iris's instructor back at Fort Benning. Taught her everything she knew. After the funeral, he'd given Elena his number. Said if she ever needed to talk, his door was open. She'd never called, never texted, never needed to talk. But now he was reaching out to her. Elena stared at the message. The generators hummed. Outside, the wind screamed. She texted back, "Tomorrow, storm's too bad tonight." The response came immediately. "Tomorrow might be too late, but I understand. Be safe." Elena put the phone away, walked back out into the storm. By the time she reached the main building, her face was numb and her fingers were stiff inside her gloves. Inside, Delta Company was settling in for the night. Storm protocol. Everyone stayed on base. No patrols. No supply runs. Just waited out. Garrett was in the common room with 5 other soldiers. They were watching a movie on the big screen. Something with explosions and car chases. Garrett saw Elena come in and grin. "Hey, Ashford, make yourself useful. Get us some beers from the fridge." Elena walked to the kitchen, opened the fridge, pulled out 6 beers, brought them back, set them on the table. "Good girl," Garrett said. He didn't look at her. His eyes were on the screen. Elena turned to leave. "Wait," Garrett said. "One more thing." She stopped. "Say it." "Say what?" "You know what. Say no rank, no worth. Come on, let's hear it." The other soldiers shifted uncomfortably. One of them, Private First Class Marcus Webb, looked away, but nobody said anything. Nobody ever said anything. Elena met Garrett's eyes, gray eyes staring into brown, cold meeting cruel. "No rank, no worth," she said quietly. Garrett smiled. "That's right. Don't forget it." She walked away, down the hall, to her quarters. A room barely bigger than a closet, a cot, a locker, a small desk. This was home. She sat on the cot, stared at the wall. On the desk was a single photograph, her father, Nathaniel, taken 5 years ago at the ranch. He was smiling. One of the few photos where he actually smiled. Next to it was a wooden box, 6 inches by 6 inches. She opened it. Inside was a folded American flag, the one they'd given her at Iris's funeral. Beneath it was Iris's dog tags. Beneath that was a spent shell casing, the last round Iris ever fired, the one that killed the man on the rooftop, the one fired 4 seconds too late. Elena closed the box, lay down on the cot, stared at the ceiling. Sleep came slowly. When it did, it brought dreams. 7 years old, hospital room, holding her mother's hand. "I'll be in the wind, baby. Listen for me." 25 years old, Syrian rooftop, holding Iris's body. 4 seconds, that's all it was. 4 seconds. The dreams mixed and blurred. Her mother's face became Iris's face, became her own face. The wind outside the hospital window became the wind on the rooftop, became the wind howling against Firebase Vanguard's walls. "Listen for me." 4 seconds. Listen. Elena woke at 0300. The room was dark. The wind was still howling. She lay there and listened to it. Really listened. 46 hertz. Northwestern wind, gusting in 3-second intervals. She still had it, the ability to hear the wind, to read it like other people read books. It was her gift, the thing that made her special. It was also the thing she'd sworn never to use again. She closed her eyes, tried to sleep, couldn't. At 0430 she gave up, got dressed, walked to the common room. Brennan was there, drinking coffee and looking at weather reports on a tablet. "Storm's getting worse," he said without looking up. "We're socked in for at least 36 hours. "Yes, Sergeant." "Delta Company has patrol scheduled at 0600. We're pushing it to 0800. See if the weather breaks." "Yes, Sergeant." He looked at her then, really looked at her, like he was seeing her for the first time. "You ever think about doing something else, Ashford? Something besides cleaning?" The question surprised her. "No, Sergeant." "Why not? You're young, smart, could train for something more useful." "Because useful means combat. Useful means rifles. We haunt you forever." "I'm fine where I am, Sergeant." Brennan shrugged. "Suit yourself." He went back to his reports. Elena walked to the kitchen, made coffee, stood at the window and watched the sun not rise. The storm was too thick. It was just darkness slowly turning to gray. At 0700, Brennan gathered Delta Company for briefing. "Listen up. Weather's not breaking. Command wants us to do a short patrol anyway, just to the ridgeline and back. 4 hours max. We leave in 60 minutes. Full cold weather gear, buddy system. Nobody gets stupid in this storm." The soldiers nodded, started gearing up. Elena watched from the doorway. She wasn't going. She never went on patrol. She was just the janitor. Garrett saw her watching. "What are you staring at, Ashford? Want to come play soldier with the real troops?" A few soldiers laughed. Elena said nothing, turned away. But as she walked back to her quarters, something cold settled in her stomach. Not fear, something else. A feeling she couldn't name. The wind outside changed pitch, shifted from 46 hertz to 49 hertz. Storm intensifying. At 0800, Delta Company rolled out. 4 vehicles, 23 soldiers. They disappeared into the white wall of snow within 30 seconds. Elena went back to cleaning, mopped the common room floor, wiped down the tables, scrubbed the kitchen. The routine was soothing, mindless, safe. At 0930, the radio on Brennan's desk crackled to life. "Vanguard, this is Delta 1. We have contact. I repeat, we have contact. Multiple hostiles. We're taking fire. Over." Elena stopped mopping. "Delta 1, this is Vanguard. Confirm contact. How many hostiles? Over." "At least 60, possibly more. They were waiting for us. This is an ambush. We're pinned down. Requesting immediate support. Over." "Delta 1, be advised, all other units are weathered in. Air support is grounded. You're on your own. Can you retreat? Over." "Negative. They have us in a box canyon. We try to retreat, they'll cut us down. We need suppression fire. We need a miracle. Over. Elena stood frozen in the middle of the common room. The mop handle was slick in her hands. Delta 1, hold your position. We're working on options. Over. Vanguard, we have casualties. Morrison is hit. Chen is hit. We need a sniper. Our designated marksman just took a round to the head. He's gone. If we don't get suppression fire in the next 5 minutes, we're all gone. Do you copy? We need a sniper now. Over. The radio went silent. Then Brennan's voice, tight with stress. Delta 1, be advised we have no sniper assets available. I repeat, no sniper assets. You need to find cover and hold until the storm clears. Over. Vanguard, there is no cover. We're dying out here. Is there anyone at all who can shoot long range? Over. Elena's hands started shaking. The mop fell from her grip, clattered on the floor. No, she couldn't. She'd promised herself, never again. Never pick up a rifle, never look through a scope, never count the seconds. But Donovan was out there. Donovan, who'd been kind to her, who'd stood up to Garrett even though it cost him. 23 men were dying, right now, in a blizzard, alone. Elena ran to her quarters, pulled the wooden box from her desk, opened it, stared at Iris's dog tags. 4 seconds, that's all it was. Her hands were still shaking. She grabbed her coat, ran to the armory. The duty guard was gone. Everyone was focused on the radio, on the dying men. Elena punched in the code. The door opened. Inside were rows of weapons. She walked past the standard rifles, past the machine guns, to the back, to the case she'd been avoiding for 7 months. M110 SASS, semi-automatic sniper system, chambered in 7.62 millimeter. Effective range 1,000 meters. Maximum range 1,200 meters. The rifle had a name carved into the stock. IB, Reaper lives through you. Iris Blackwell's rifle. The one they'd given to Elena after the funeral. The one she'd brought to Vanguard and locked away, never to touch again. Elena picked it up. The weight was familiar, like shaking hands with an old friend you'd betrayed. She grabbed 4 magazines, loaded them into her vest. The movements were automatic, muscle memory from 6 years of training and 2 years of trying to forget. She ran to the motor pool, grabbed the keys to a Humvee, started it up. The engine roared to life. The radio on her hip crackled. Brennan's voice. All Vanguard personnel, Delta Company is combat ineffective. We have lost contact. I repeat, we have lost contact. Elena shifted into gear, drove toward the gate. The guard stopped her. Ma'am, you can't go out in this. The storm. Open the gate. Ma'am, I have orders. Elena looked at him, gray eyes, cold, dead. Open the gate or I drive through it. He opened the gate. Elena drove into the storm. Visibility was maybe 40 feet. The wind rocked the Humvee. Snow covered the windshield faster than the wipers could clear it. She drove by memory and instinct. 4 miles north, then east on the service road, then north again to the ridgeline. 14 minutes. That's how long it took. 14 minutes of white-knuckle driving through a blizzard that should have killed her 3 times over. She saw the vehicles first. 4 Humvees arranged in a defensive circle. Bullet holes everywhere. One was burning despite the snow. She saw bodies second. 2 soldiers lying in the snow, not moving. She saw the living third. 21 men, some firing, some dragging wounded behind cover. All of them dying by inches. Elena stopped the Humvee 50 meters back, grabbed the rifle, stepped out into the storm. The wind hit her. Minus 32 degrees, 70-mile-per-hour gusts. Her face went numb instantly. She ran forward. 50 meters felt like a mile. Her boots crunched in the snow. Bullets whined overhead. Somewhere in the gray wall of storm, enemy fighters were shooting down at them. She reached the defensive circle. Dropped behind a Humvee, Brennan was there, arm bleeding, trying to coordinate what was left of his platoon. He saw her. did a double take. Ashford, what the hell are you doing here? Elena didn't answer. She was scanning the ridgeline, looking for targets, looking for the shooters. Brennan grabbed her shoulder. I asked you a question. How many? Elena said. Her voice was calm, too calm, like someone else was speaking. How many what? How many enemy? I don't know, 60, 70? They're dug in on the high ground. We can't see them in this storm. Our designated marksman is dead. We're fucked. Elena looked at him. Where's Donovan? Reed? He's over there, took shrapnel to the leg. He'll live if we get out of here, but we're not getting out. She could see Donovan now, propped against a wheel. His face was pale. Marcus Webb was applying pressure to his leg. Garrett was behind the next vehicle over, blood streaming down his face from a cut on his forehead. He saw Elena and her rifle. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. The janitor? This is who we get? We're all dead. Elena ignored him. She was setting up, finding a position. The hood of the Humvee gave her elevation. She laid the rifle across it, settled in. Brennan moved beside her. Ashford, I appreciate the gesture, but unless you've been hiding some serious skills, a rifle isn't going to... Where's the enemy sniper? Elena interrupted. What? Your designated marksman was killed by a sniper, which means they have a shooter, probably more than one. Where are they? Brennan stared at her. How do you know that? Where are they? He pointed northeast. Ridgeline, maybe 1,400 meters, we think. We can't see anything in this storm. Elena closed her eyes, listened. The wind, 52 hertz, northwestern, gusting every 3 seconds. Temperature -32 and dropping. Barometric pressure falling. Snow density increasing. She could hear it all. The storm was singing to her, the way it always had, the way her mother promised it would. She opened her eyes, looked through the scope, couldn't see anything. The storm was too thick, but she didn't need to see. She adjusted for wind, adjusted for temperature, adjusted for elevation. The math was automatic. 1,480 meters. Bullet drop 29 feet. Wind drift 12 feet left. Time to target 3.2 seconds. Garrett's voice. She's not even aiming. She's just sitting there. Elena tuned him out. Tuned everything out. There was only the rifle, the wind, the target she couldn't see but knew was there. Her finger moved to the trigger. She could feel her body temperature dropping. 95.2, 94.8, 94.2. Her heart rate slowed, 60 beats per minute, 55, 50. Between heartbeats, the body is completely still. That's when you shoot. In the space between life and life. She exhaled halfway, held it, pulled the trigger. The rifle kicked. The sound was swallowed by the storm. For 3.2 seconds, nothing happened. Then 1,480 meters away, a shape fell from the ridgeline, tumbled down through the snow, stopped moving. Silence. Complete silence from the Delta Company soldiers. Brennan spoke first, his voice barely a whisper. Did you just... Enemy sniper eliminated, Elena said. Her voice was still that same strange calm. Where are the machine gun positions? Garrett pushed forward, stared at her, blood dripping down his face, forgotten. That was a Reaper-class shot. How did you... She looked at him, gray eyes meeting brown. Iris taught me, she said, and everything changed. The second shot came 30 seconds after the first, then the third, then the fourth. Elena worked methodically, each target identified by sound, each shot calculated, each kill precise. The Delta Company soldiers stood frozen, watching a woman they dismissed for 7 months systematically dismantle an enemy assault force. Through a blizzard, from ranges that shouldn't be possible. Garrett couldn't look away, blood still streaming down his face. He'd called her worthless, trash with a mop, no rank, no worth. And now she was saving his life, Shot by impossible shot. 5 kills. 6. 7. The enemy fire was slackening, confusion spreading through their ranks, fear taking root. Machine gun nest, Elena said. Her voice was eerily calm. 11 o'clock, 1,520 meters. Brennan had his binoculars up, saw nothing through the storm. I don't see, Elena fired. 3.2 seconds later, the distant clatter of metal on stone. The machine gun went silent. 8 kills. Next position, 2 o'clock, 1,560 meters. Radio operator. Garrett had moved closer now, his earlier contempt completely erased, replaced by something between awe and terror. You can't see them. The storm's too thick. How are you finding targets? Elena's finger rested on the trigger guard. I hear them. You hear them? That's impossible. Move back. You're blocking my wind reading. Garrett moved. Everyone moved. They all stared at her like she'd grown a second head. Like the janitor they'd ignored and insulted for 7 months had suddenly become something else entirely. Elena found her target. The radio operator was moving. She could hear the electronic interference he was causing. Radio frequencies disrupted the wind's natural harmonic, created a distortion, like a stone in a stream. She aimed for the distortion, fired. The distortion stopped. 9 down, she said. Her body temperature was dropping, 93.8 degrees. Her hands should be shaking from the cold. They weren't. They were perfectly steady. How many wounded do we have? Brennan found his voice. 4. Morrison and Chen are critical. The others can move. Then move them. I'll keep the enemy suppressed. Get everyone behind the Humvees. Consolidate your position. Who the hell are you? Brennan asked. Elena didn't answer. She was already acquiring the next target, 1,890 meters, further than she'd ever shot in combat, at the very edge of the M110's effective range. But she could feel the target. Male, heavy breathing, elevated heart rate. He was scared. Fear made people breathe differently, made them move differently, made them loud in ways they didn't realize. She compensated for the distance, compensated for the wind, compensated for the curvature of the earth at this range. Yes, that mattered. Not much, but enough. Fired. 4.1 seconds. The longest she'd had to wait. Every second felt like an hour. Wondering if she'd calculated correctly, if the wind would shift mid-flight, if the bullet would tumble or the target would move. The distant sound of a body hitting snow. 10 kills. Jesus Christ, Marcus Webb whispered. He was still treating Donovan's leg, but now he was watching Elena instead. She's shooting blind. She's shooting blind and hitting every time. Donovan looked up at Elena. His face was pale from blood loss. Ma'am, who are you? Elena glanced at him. For a moment, she saw Iris, saw the body in her arms, saw the blood, saw the way life left slowly and then all at once. Not again. She wouldn't watch good people die again. Not when she could do something about it. I'm nobody, she said. I'm just the janitor. She fired again. 11th target, 1,680 meters. Another machine gunner trying to relocate his weapon. 11 kills. The enemy fire was slackening. Confusion was spreading through their ranks. They couldn't see where the shots were coming from. In the middle of a blizzard, with visibility near zero, someone was picking them off one by one. From over a kilometer away, it broke their nerve. Elena watched through her scope as shapes began pulling back, retreating further up the ridgeline, some of them running. Fear was contagious in combat. Once it started, it spread like wildfire. She could have kept shooting, could have hunted them as they fled, but Iris had taught her better than that. You shoot to protect, not to punish. When the threat ends, you stop. Elena lowered the rifle. Her whole body was shaking now, not from fear, from cold. Her body temperature was 92.4 degrees. Hypothermia was setting in. She'd been out here 15 minutes, exposed to minus 32-degree wind. Her gift for low body temperature was also a curse. She could lower it to ghost level for shooting, but bringing it back up took time. Time she didn't have. "They're retreating," Brennan said. He was staring at the ridgeline, then at Elena. "You just broke an entire enemy assault, by yourself, in a blizzard, with shots I couldn't even see." Elena tried to stand. Her legs gave out. She caught herself on the Humvee. Everything was cold. So cold. Garrett was there suddenly, catching her, supporting her weight. The same man who'd made her scrub toilets 3 times a day. "Easy, easy. I got you." "I'm fine." "You're not fine. You're hypothermic. We need to get you warm. The wounded first. Get them loaded. Get them back to base." Brennan was already moving, shouting orders. Delta Company mobilized. They loaded the critical wounded into 2 Humvees. The walking wounded helped each other. Donovan insisted on moving under his own power, even though his leg was shredded. Marcus Webb approached Elena, handed her a thermal blanket. "Ma'am, I don't know what to say. You saved our lives." "Don't say anything. Just get in the vehicle." He did. They all did. 4 Humvees, 21 living soldiers, 2 bodies wrapped and secured. They rolled out, heading back to Firebase Vanguard through the storm that had tried to kill them. Elena sat in the back of the lead Humvee. Garrett drove. Brennan was beside him. The rifle was across Elena's lap. She stared at the initials carved in the stock. IB, Iris Blackwell. The Reaper. 2 years ago, Syrian rooftop, 4 seconds too slow. Elena closed her eyes, felt the Humvee rock in the wind, felt the cold seeping deeper into her bones. "Ashford," Brennan's voice from the front. "When we get back, you and I need to have a conversation." "Yes, Sergeant." "A long conversation. About who you really are, and what the hell you were doing mopping floors when you can shoot like that." Elena didn't respond. She was too tired, too cold. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving behind just exhaustion and the old familiar weight. The weight Iris had warned her about. The weight every sniper carried. 11 more bodies, 11 more lives ended, 11 more choices she'd have to live with. But 21 lives saved. That had to count for something. Iris always said it counted for something. They reached Firebase Vanguard 40 minutes later. The gate opened. They drove through. Medical personnel were waiting. They took Morrison and Chen immediately, rushed them to the infirmary. The other wounded followed. Donovan limped away with Marcus supporting him. Elena climbed out of the Humvee. Her legs were still unsteady. She made it 3 steps before the world tilted sideways. Strong hands caught her. Garrett again. "Medic! We need a medic over here." "I'm fine." "Stop saying you're fine. You're not fine. You're barely standing." They brought her to the infirmary, made her sit, put heated blankets around her, checked her vitals. Body temperature 91.6 degrees, dangerously low. They started warming protocols, hot liquids, more blankets, monitored her heart rate. The medic, a young corporal named Stevens, kept looking at her strangely. "Ma'am, your baseline body temp is in your file. 95.2. That's already abnormally low. How did you drop it another 4 degrees? "I concentrate." "You concentrate? That's not how body temperature works." "For me it is." Stevens shook his head, didn't argue, just kept monitoring. After an hour, Elena's temperature was back up to 93.4. Still low, but no longer critical. "You can go," Stevens said, "but if you start feeling faint or confused, come back immediately. Hypothermia can have delayed effects." Elena stood, walked out of the infirmary. The rifle was still with her. She hadn't let anyone take it. The common room was full. Every member of Delta Company was there. When Elena entered, they went quiet, all eyes on her. She tried to walk past them, tried to just disappear into her room like she always did. Brennan stepped in front of her. "Not this time, Ashford. This time we talk." Elena met his eyes. There's nothing to talk about, Sergeant. Like hell there isn't. You just performed 11 impossible shots in the worst conditions I've ever seen. You saved 21 lives. And according to your service record, you're a facilities maintenance specialist with no combat training whatsoever. My record is accurate. Then you lied on your enlistment forms because nobody shoots like that without serious training. Elena felt the weight of all those eyes. 21 soldiers, all of them alive because of her. All of them owed their lives to the woman they'd ignored and dismissed. I want to go to my quarters. Tell me who you are first. Garrett spoke up from the side. Sergeant, permission to speak. Go ahead, Hale. She said Iris taught her. Iris Blackwell, the Reaper. I looked it up. Captain Iris Blackwell, killed in action 2 years ago in Syria. 43 confirmed kills. One of the best snipers in the last 20 years. Garrett looked at Elena. If Iris Blackwell taught you, that means you were in the Phantom Line program, the classified sniper unit, the one that officially doesn't exist. Silence. Complete silence. Brennan stared at Elena. Is that true? Elena's jaw tightened. She hadn't said the words out loud in 2 years, hadn't admitted to anyone who she used to be. Yes, you were Phantom Line. I was. Why didn't you say anything? Why are you here, mopping floors, when you have those kinds of skills? Because Iris died and it was my fault. Because I was 4 seconds too slow. Because every time I pick up a rifle, I see her bleeding out in my arms. Because I can't do this anymore. I requested non-combat duty. They approved it, that's all. Donovan hobbled forward on his injured leg. His face was earnest, young. Ma'am, you saved my life. You saved all our lives. I don't understand why you'd hide something like that. Elena looked at him, really looked at him. He was 21 years old, same age as the enemy fighters she'd killed today, maybe younger. Just kids with guns, all of them, dying in the snow because old men made bad decisions. Because being good at killing people isn't something to be proud of, she said quietly. But you protected us. That's different. I killed 11 human beings today. 11 people who woke up this morning thinking they'd see tomorrow. They won't, because of me. Elena's voice was steady, calm, empty. That's what I'm good at, ending lives. And I don't want to be good at it anymore. She walked past Brennan, past all of them, to her quarters, closed the door, locked it, set the rifle down on the desk, next to her father's photograph, next to Iris's wooden box. She sat on the cot, stared at her hands. They were steady now, no shaking, no tremor, the same hands that had just ended 11 lives. They looked normal, clean, like they belonged to someone who mopped floors instead of someone who killed from over a kilometer away. There was a knock at the door. Ashford, it's Brennan. Open up. I'd like to be alone, Sergeant. I'm sure you would. Open the door anyway. Elena stood, unlocked it, opened it. Brennan came in, looked around the tiny room, saw the photograph, saw the wooden box, saw the rifle with Iris Blackwell's initials carved in it. You loved her, he said. The Reaper. She wasn't just your instructor. You loved her. She was my friend, my partner, my sister, everything. And she died. Because I hesitated. 4 seconds. That's all it was. 4 seconds of waiting for authorization that never came. She took the shot instead of me, exposed her position, paid the price. Elena sat back down on the cot. I've been 4 seconds too slow my entire life, Sergeant. Always one step behind. Always just late enough to fail the people who matter. Brennan pulled up the desk chair, sat down. He looked older suddenly, tired. You know what I see when I look at you? The janitor. I see someone carrying a weight that would crush most people. I see someone who turned their back on something they were brilliant at because the cost was too high. I see someone who chose safety over excellence because excellence hurt too much. He paused. I also see someone who drove into a blizzard to save 21 men she barely knew. Someone who put aside her own pain because other people needed her. I'm not a hero. I didn't say you were. I said you made a choice. Today you chose to pick up that rifle. Tomorrow you get to choose again. And the day after that, every day you get to choose who you are. There was another knock, softer this time. Sergeant, it's me. Brennan opened the door. An old man stood there, 64 years old, white hair, deep lines around his eyes, wearing a heavy coat and boots caked with snow. Sergeant Major Callahan Merrick, retired. Elena stood. Merrick, how did you? I told you I needed to talk. You didn't come to me, so I came to you. He looked at Brennan. Give us a moment, Sergeant. Brennan hesitated, then nodded, left, closed the door. Merrick stood there, looking at Elena, at the rifle, at the wooden box. You picked it up again, he said. I didn't have a choice. There's always a choice. That's what Iris used to say. He moved to the desk, opened the wooden box without asking permission, looked at the dog tags, the flag, the shell casing. She made me promise something before she deployed that last time. What? She said if anything happened to her, I should watch over you, make sure you didn't disappear, make sure you didn't let the 4 seconds define you. He closed the box. I've been watching, waiting, hoping you'd find your way back. Today, you did. I don't want to find my way back. I want to be left alone. Too late for that. Merrick pulled something from his coat pocket, a letter, sealed envelope. Your father sent this. Asked me to deliver it when the time was right. Elena took the envelope, her father's handwriting on the front, just her name, Elena. She opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper and a photograph. The photograph showed a rifle, not the M110 she just used, something bigger, more specialized. Shytac M200 intervention, chambered in .408. Effective range beyond 2,000 meters, a true long-range precision rifle. The letter was short, 3 sentences in her father's cramped handwriting. Your mother wanted you strong. I made you a shooter. Iris made you a protector. This rifle is for when you're ready to be both. It's waiting at the ranch. I love you, Elena. Dad. Elena stared at the photograph, at the rifle that could reach out and touch targets beyond the M110's capabilities. Her father had known. Somehow, he'd known she'd need this. He sent it 3 months ago, Merrick said. Said he had a feeling. Said the wind was telling him you'd be picking up a rifle again soon. The wind doesn't talk. Doesn't it? Your mother said she'd be in the wind. Iris said you could hear the wind like nobody else. Maybe they're both talking. Maybe you're just not listening. There was a commotion outside. Voices. Then a knock. Brennan again. Ashford, sorry to interrupt, but we have a situation. Elena opened the door. What situation? Enemy reinforcements. Intel just came through. The unit we engaged today was a scouting force. The main body is moving in. 90-plus fighters, APCs, mortars. They'll be here by tomorrow morning. What about air support? Still grounded. Storm's not breaking. We're on our own. Brennan looked grim. Command is ordering a fighting withdrawal. We're supposed to fall back to Firebase Sentinel, 30 miles south. That's 2 hours in good weather. In this storm, with wounded, it'll take 4, maybe more. I know, but Command says we can't hold Vanguard against that kind of force. Not with 21 effectives and 4 wounded. Elena looked past Brennan, saw the faces of Delta Company, saw Garrett, saw Marcus, saw Donovan with his bandaged leg, saw all of them looking at her, waiting. Not for orders, they had orders, waiting for something else, waiting to see what she would do. 2 years ago, she'd walked away from this life, hung up the rifle, chosen safety over the weight. But safety was an illusion. There was no safe place. Not really. There was just the choice to act or the choice to hide. Iris had made her choice, taken the shot, paid the price. Now it was Elena's turn. I have an idea, she said, but you're not going to like it. Brennan frowned. What idea? Elena grabbed the rifle, walked past him into the common room, spread a map on the table. Everyone gathered around. The enemy will hit us from the north. They'll use the high ground, same ridgeline as today, 840 meters from our perimeter. She traced the terrain with her finger. We can't defend against mortars and heavy weapons from here. You're right about that. We need to retreat. So we follow orders, fall back to Sentinel. Not all of us. Elena looked up, met Brennan's eyes. Most of you retreat. I stay. What? There's an old observation tower. Here, she pointed to a spot on the map. 640 meters north. Collapsed, structurally unsound. But it's the highest point on this ridge. From there, I'll have line of sight to every enemy position. Garrett leaned over the map, studied the tower. His face went pale. That's a death trap. The structure is barely standing. You'd be completely exposed from every angle. That's the point. I draw their fire. Every weapon they have will be aimed at me, not at you. You use that time to get everyone out. Get the wounded to Sentinel. I'll keep them pinned down, keep them occupied. For how long? Brennan asked. Elena pulled her spare magazines, counted rounds. I have 43 rounds total. When I run out, I'm done. 43, Marcus whispered. Same as Iris Blackwell. Elena nodded. Same as Iris. And then what? Brennan pressed. You just die up there? If that's how it goes. Absolutely not. I'm not leaving a soldier behind. I don't care how good a shot you are. I'm not a soldier. I'm a janitor, remember? No rank, no worth. Elena's voice was flat. You said it yourself, Sergeant. 21 effectives against 90-plus enemies. We can't win that fight. But one person in the right position can change the math. I can make them hesitate, make them scared, make them think twice about pushing forward. Merrick spoke from the doorway. She's right. Classic force multiplication. One sniper in an elevated position can disrupt an entire assault. It's why the Phantom Line program existed. But she'll be trapped. Once she's up in that tower, there's no way down. I know, Elena said. That's the price. My life for 21 others. The math works. Silence. Everyone looked at each other. No one wanted to say it, but they were all thinking it. The math did work. One sacrifice to save everyone else. Garrett broke the silence. I was wrong about you. About everything. You're not just some woman playing soldier. You're the real thing. More real than any of us. His voice cracked. Don't do this, please. Why not? Because I have a daughter. She was born 4 days ago, right before we deployed. I haven't even held her yet. I named her after my grandmother, Sarah. He looked down. But if I make it out of here because of you, if I get to hold my little girl because you died for me, I don't know how I'll live with that. Elena understood. She'd lived with it for 2 years. The weight of being saved by someone else's sacrifice. The debt that could never be repaid. Then live well, she said. Be a good father. Teach your daughter to be strong, to be kind, to stand up for people who need help. Make my death mean something. Donovan stepped forward. Ma'am, there has to be another way. There isn't, and you know it. Brennan closed his eyes, opened them. How long do you need? How long can you hold? Depends on how many targets I can eliminate before they locate my position. Best case, 40 minutes. Worst case, 10. 40 minutes isn't enough time for us to get clear. Then you'd better move fast. Merrick put a hand on Elena's shoulder. Iris would be proud, but she'd also call you an idiot. Suicide missions were never her style. This isn't suicide, it's calculated risk. Calculated? The tower is falling apart. The storm is getting worse. You'll be hypothermic in 10 minutes. Even if the enemy doesn't kill you, the cold will. Maybe, probably, but 21 people will be alive. That's what matters. Merrick sighed, reached into his coat again, pulled out a satellite phone. Your father wants to talk to you. Before you do this. Elena stared at the phone. She hadn't talked to her dad in 6 months. Hadn't told him where she was or what she'd been doing. Hadn't admitted that she'd given up, quit, walked away. She took the phone, stepped outside into the storm. The wind hit her. The snow stung her face. She put the phone to her ear. Dad. Elena. Nathaniel Ashford's voice, strong, steady, the same voice that had taught her to shoot 20 years ago. Merrick told me what you're planning. I don't have a choice. There's always a choice, but I understand why you're making this one. A pause. Your mother would understand too. Mom died because cancer didn't give her a choice. Your mother died protecting you. Every day she fought that cancer was a day she bought you. Time for you to grow up. Time for you to become who you needed to be. She made her choice. Now you're making yours. Elena felt tears freezing on her cheeks. I'm scared, Dad. I know, but you're going anyway. That's what brave is. Not the absence of fear, the decision to act despite it. I miss her. I miss Iris. I miss feeling like I belonged somewhere. You belong right where you are, doing exactly what you're about to do. The wind brought you here, Elena. Your mother's wind. Iris's wind. All the people who loved you, pushing you toward this moment. Listen to them. The wind was howling, 58 hertz now. The storm was peaking. Tomorrow morning it would break, but tonight it was at its worst. Elena closed her eyes, listened, really listened. She heard her mother's voice. I'll be in the wind. She heard Iris's voice. You'll save thousands. She heard the wind itself, singing, calling, pulling her north toward the tower, toward the choice. I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart. Make the shot, every single one. Don't be 4 seconds late. I won't, not this time. She ended the call, handed the phone back to Merrick. When do you leave? He asked. 20 minutes. I need to prep. Check the rifle. Load magazines. Get my head right. Want company? No, I need to do this alone. She went back inside, to her quarters, closed the door. The rifle was on the desk. Iris's rifle. The one that had killed 43 enemies over 6 years of service. Now it would kill 43 more. Elena's 43. Her debt paid in full. She checked the weapon. Function check. Chamber. Bolt. Scope mount. Everything was perfect. Iris had maintained this rifle like a sacred object. Elena had continued that tradition, even while refusing to fire it. She loaded the magazines. 4 magazines, 10 rounds each, plus 3 loose rounds, 43 total. 43 chances to save 21 lives. The same number Iris had. The number Elena swore she'd never reach. But now she understood. It wasn't about the number. It was about the why. The math worked. It had to work. There was a knock, soft. Ma'am, it's Donovan. Elena opened the door. The young private stood there. He had something in his hands. A thermal blanket, chemical heat packs, a thermos of coffee. For the tower, he said, it's going to be cold up there. Really cold. These might help. Elena took them. Thank you. I wish I could come with you. Provide security. Cover your back. Your leg is shredded. You can barely walk. I could still help. You can help by surviving, by making it to Sentinel, by living a long life and telling your kids about today. Elena met his eyes. Will you do that for me? Donovan nodded, tears on his face. Yes, ma'am. Good. Now get back to the others. They need you. He left. Elena finished preparing, strapped on her gear, magazine pouches, water, the thermal blanket, everything she'd need for her final mission. She picked up the rifle. It felt right in her hands. like coming home after a long journey, like shaking hands with an old friend. She opened the wooden box one last time, took out Iris's dog tags, put them around her neck, wore them under her coat, against her heart. "Not 4 seconds late," she whispered. "Exactly on time." She walked out. Delta Company was assembled, ready to move. Humvees loaded, wounded secured, everyone waiting. Brennan stood at attention. "Specialist Ashford, on behalf of Delta Company, I want to say—" "Don't," Elena interrupted. "Don't say anything. Just get them out. That's all I need." He nodded, stepped aside. Elena walked to the gate. It opened. She stepped out into the storm, 640 meters north, to a tower that was barely standing, to a position that would kill her. But first, she'd kill 43 enemies, and 21 good people would live. The math worked. It had to work. She disappeared into the white wall of snow. Behind her, Delta Company watched until they couldn't see her anymore. Then they mounted up, prepared to retreat, prepared to live because one woman chose to die. The storm sang 58 hertz. Her mother's voice, Iris's voice, all the voices of all the people who'd loved her. Elena walked toward the tower, toward her choice, toward exactly on time. The tower rose out of the storm like a broken tooth. 60 feet of rusted metal and crumbling concrete. Half the stairs were gone. The upper platform listed 15 degrees to the east. Engineers had condemned it 3 years ago, scheduled for demolition, then forgotten. Elena stood at the base and looked up. This was where she would make her stand. This was where she would die. The wind screamed, 62 miles per hour now. The gusts came in waves that nearly knocked her over. Her face was already numb, her fingers stiff inside her gloves, body temperature dropping, 94.6 degrees and falling. She started climbing. The first 10 feet were manageable, metal stairs, rusted but intact. Then she hit the gap, 20 feet of nothing. The middle section had collapsed years ago. She'd have to hand over hand up the exposed support beams. Elena slung the rifle across her back, gripped the nearest beam. The metal was ice cold even through her gloves. She pulled herself up, hand over hand. Her boots scraped against concrete, found purchase, pushed. 20 feet, straight vertical, in a blizzard, with hypothermia setting in. Halfway up, her left hand slipped. She swung out, caught herself with her right, dangled for 3 seconds that felt like forever. Her shoulder screamed. Her fingers were losing feeling. She thought about letting go, thought about falling. It would be quick, painless, better than what was coming. But 21 people were counting on her. Donovan with his shredded leg, Marcus with his kind eyes, even Garrett, especially Garrett, the man who'd spent 7 months treating her like dirt, who was now praying she'd live long enough to save him. Elena found another handhold, pulled, kept climbing. She reached the upper platform, collapsed onto it, lay there for 30 seconds, breathing hard. Body temperature 93.2 degrees. Dangerous. Not critical yet, but getting there. She forced herself up, looked around. The platform was worse than she'd thought. The floor had holes, big ones. One wrong step and she'd fall through. The railing was gone. Just open air in a 60-foot drop. The wind was worse up here, nothing to block it. It hit her from every direction at once. But the sight lines were perfect. She could see everything. The entire valley, Firebase Vanguard to the south, the ridge line to the north, where the enemy would come from, the approach routes, the defensive positions, everything. This was a perfect sniper nest. It was also a perfect tomb. Elena set up, found the most stable section of floor, a corner where 3 support beams met. She laid the rifle across a chunk of broken concrete, wedged the bipod into a crack, tested it, solid. As solid as anything could be in a structure that was actively falling apart. She pulled out the magazines, lined them up, 43 rounds. She touched each one, counted them. 43. The same number Iris had when she died. Elena had sworn she'd never match that number, never become what Iris was. But now she understood. It wasn't about the number, it was about the why. Iris's 43 kills had saved hundreds. Elena's 43 would save 21. Different math, same purpose. The storm was her only advantage. The enemy couldn't see her. Not yet. The tower was just another gray shadow in a world of gray shadows. She had maybe 5 minutes after her first shot before they located her position. Maybe less. She needed to make every second count. Elena checked her watch. 2200 hours. Brennan would start the retreat at 22:30. He needed 40 minutes to get clear. Minimum. That meant Elena needed to hold for 40 minutes, with 43 rounds, against 90-plus enemies who would all be shooting at her the moment they found her. The math was tight, too tight, but it was the only math available. She opened the thermos Donovan had given her, drank. Hot coffee. It burned going down, but warmed her from the inside. Her body temperature ticked up. 93.4 degrees. Better. She activated the chemical heat packs, shoved them inside her coat, against her core. Every degree mattered. Every second of consciousness mattered. She touched the dog tags around her neck. Iris's tags. Cold metal against colder skin. Not 4 seconds late, she whispered to the storm. Exactly on time. The wind answered. 56 hertz, dropping. The storm was starting to break. Not much, not yet. But the peak had passed. By dawn it would be clear. By dawn this would all be over. Movement. North Ridge. Elena snapped her attention to it. Shapes resolving out of the gray. Vehicles, 4 of them. APCS. Armored personnel carriers. Behind them, soldiers on foot, lots of them. She looked through the scope, counted, 15, 20, 30, 40. They kept coming, more than 90, maybe 120. Intel had been wrong, badly wrong. This wasn't a raid. This was an invasion force. Elena's hands tightened on the rifle. Her breathing slowed. Her heart rate dropped. 60 beats per minute, 55. 50. The space between heartbeats, that's where the perfect shot lived. She found her first target, the lead APC driver, visible through the windshield. Range 940 meters, wind 48 miles per hour, crosswind from the northwest. She compensated, aimed 6 feet left of the driver's head, let the wind carry the bullet into target. Fired. The windshield exploded. The APC swerved, stopped. The driver slumped forward. Shot 1, 42 remaining. Immediately Elena shifted aim. Second APC, same shot, different driver. Fired. Shot 2, 41 remaining. The convoy stopped. Confusion rippled through the enemy ranks. They couldn't see where the shots were coming from. The storm was too thick. But their vehicles were being disabled. Their people were dying. Fear. Elena could feel it from here, could sense the moment when confusion turned to panic. She found her third target, an officer, obvious from his position and the way soldiers clustered around him. He was pointing, shouting orders. 1,120 meters, elevated position, wind compensation. Fired. The officer dropped. The soldiers scattered. Shot 3, 40 remaining. Now the enemy was shooting back. But they were shooting blind. Rounds went everywhere, into the ground, into the air, nowhere near Elena. They didn't know where she was yet. She had maybe 2 more minutes. 4th shot. 5th. 6th. 7th. Machine gunner. Radio operator. Another officer. A soldier setting up a mortar. 7 shots. 36 remaining. The enemy assault was already degrading. Vehicles stopped. Leadership eliminated. Support weapons disrupted. Then someone got smart, or lucky. A soldier with binoculars spotted the muzzle flash from Elena's 8th shot. He pointed, screamed. Suddenly, every weapon turned toward the tower. The floor around Elena exploded. Bullets punched through concrete, sparked off metal. One round passed so close to her head she felt the heat. The tower shuddered, swayed. The structure was being torn apart. Elena didn't flinch. She was in the zone now, the place Iris had taught her to find, where the world narrowed to just the scope and the target and the mathematics of death. Eighth shot, the soldier with the binoculars. Ninth shot, 10th, two more officers. 10 shots, 33 remaining. The incoming fire intensified. A support beam to Elena's left snapped. The entire platform tilted another 5 degrees. Chunks of concrete rained down. The floor cracked. One of the holes widened. 11th shot. 12th. 13th. A mortar crew. 3 men. 3 bullets. 13 shots. 30 remaining. She kept shooting, kept killing. Each round counted. Each death mattered. An APC's mounted gun opened up. 50 caliber rounds. Each one could punch through the concrete she was hiding behind, could tear her in half. The rounds walked up the tower. Closer, closer. Elena rolled left. The 50 cal tore through where she'd been lying. She came up in a new position, found the gunner, 1,400 meters, fired, shot 14, 29 remaining. Her body temperature was dropping again, 92.4 degrees. The effort of moving, the cold, the wind, it was all adding up. Her hands were shaking now. Not much, just a tremor. But at these ranges, a tremor meant missing. She couldn't miss. Not with only 29 rounds left. 15th shot. 16th. 17th. 3 more soldiers trying to set up a mortar. They fell. The mortar tube toppled. 17 shots. 26 remaining. She touched each magazine. Counted them. 26 chances to save 21 lives. She'd started with 43. Iris's number. The same number of kills Iris had when she died. Elena had sworn she'd never match that number, never become what Iris was. But now she understood. It wasn't about the number. It was about the why. Iris's 43 kills had saved hundreds. Elena's 43 would save 21. Different math, same purpose. 26 more to go. The tower groaned, metal screaming. Another support beam gave way. The platform dropped 6 inches, tilted further. Now it was at a 20-degree angle. Elena had to brace herself to keep from sliding. Check watch. 10 minutes had passed. Brennan needed 30 more. 26 rounds left. 100+ enemies still operational. The math wasn't working anymore. Another burst of 50 cal. The concrete Elena was using for cover disintegrated. She scrambled backward, found new cover, a section of wall, not much, but something. 18th shot, 19th, 20th, 2 officers, 1 radio operator, 20 shots, 23 remaining. The enemy was adapting. They'd figured out her general position. Now they were moving, using the APCs for cover, bounding forward in fire teams. Professional tactics. These weren't amateur fighters. These were trained soldiers. They were advancing, getting closer to Firebase Vanguard, closer to the route Brennan would use to retreat. Elena couldn't let them get closer. 21st shot, 22nd, 23rd. She was targeting the leaders now, the ones directing the advance. Without leadership, the assault would stall. 23 shots, 20 remaining. But there were so many of them. For every leader she killed, another stepped up. The advance continued. Check watch. 15 minutes. Brennan needed 25 more. 20 rounds left. The tower lurched. Another support beam gone. The platform was barely attached now, hanging by maybe 3 connection points. The next big hit would bring the whole thing down. Elena repositioned, found a spot near the edge, right at the precipice. If she fell, it was 60 feet to frozen ground. But from here she had a clear shot at the approaching enemy. 24th shot, 25th, 26th, 26 shots, 17 remaining. A mortar round hit the tower. Not close, but close enough. The shockwave threw Elena against where the railing used to be. She grabbed at nothing, caught a piece of rebar, held on as the platform bucked and swayed. Her rifle slid, headed for one of the holes in the floor. Elena lunged, caught it, pulled it back. Her hands were bleeding now. The rebar had cut through her gloves, through her skin. She couldn't feel the pain. Hypothermia had numbed everything. Body temperature 89.6 degrees. She was dying, slowly but certainly. 17 rounds left, 25 minutes to go. She set up again, hands slippery with blood, scope fogging from her breath. She wiped it clear, found a target, 27th shot, 28th, 29th, 29 shots, 14 remaining. The enemy was close now, within 500 meters of Vanguard. Close enough to see the base, close enough to start targeting it directly. But they'd stopped advancing. The casualties were too high, the confusion too great. Someone was dead every time they tried to move forward, so they'd gone to ground, set up defensive positions, trying to figure out what to do next. Elena had broken their momentum. 29 kills, 29 reasons for them to be afraid. Afraid of the ghost in the tower, the invisible sniper who could see through storms and kill from impossible distances. They were pinned, but not broken, not routed, and Elena only had 14 rounds left. Check watch. 20 minutes. Brennan needed 20 more. She could do this. She had to do this. 30th shot. A soldier trying to operate a radio. Communication was key. Disrupt that and they stayed confused. 31st shot. Another officer. Always the officers. Always the ones giving orders. 31 shots. 12 remaining. The tower groaned again. Elena could feel it. The structure was done. One more major hit, and it would collapse. She'd go down with it. 60 feet onto frozen ground. At her current body temperature, with her current injuries, she wouldn't survive. But she didn't need to survive. She just needed to last 20 more minutes. 32nd shot, 33rd, 34th, 34 shots, 9 remaining. Her vision was graying at the edges, tunneling. Her hands had gone completely numb. She could barely feel the trigger, was operating on muscle memory and instinct. Iris's voice in her head. When your body fails, trust your training. Training becomes instinct. Instinct becomes survival. 9 rounds, 18 minutes, 35th shot. A soldier with RPG, rocket-propelled grenade, aimed at the tower. She dropped him before he could fire. 35 shots, 8 remaining. Movement, new movement, from the south. Elena swung her scope around. Vehicles, friendly vehicles, coming from Firebase Vanguard. No. Brennan was supposed to be retreating, not advancing. What was he doing? She grabbed her radio, keyed it with bleeding fingers. Delta 1, this is Ashford. What are you doing? Get out of here. Static. Then Brennan's voice. Negative, Ashford, we're not leaving you. That wasn't the plan. You're supposed to retreat. Plans change. Hold position. We're coming to extract you. There's nothing to extract. I have 8 rounds left and I'm dying up here. Get your people to safety. Not without you. Elena wanted to scream, wanted to cry. These idiots, these beautiful, stupid, loyal idiots were going to get themselves killed trying to save her. The enemy saw the vehicles, shifted their attention, started firing at Delta Company instead of the tower. No, Elena wouldn't let that happen. She didn't climb this tower so those men could throw their lives away. 36 shot. Enemy machine gunner targeting the lead Humvee. He dropped. 37th shot. Enemy with RPG. Down. 38 shot. Another machine gunner. 38 shots. 5 remaining. The enemy was being caught between 2 threats now. The tower behind them. Delta Company in front of them. They were in a kill box. Confusion was turning to panic. Some of them broke, started running, retreating north back toward their lines. Others stayed, the professionals, the ones who wouldn't run no matter what. They went to ground, prepared to fight to the end. 39th shot, 40th shot, two more officers trying to rally the defenders. 40 shots, 3 remaining. The last organized resistance crumbled. The remaining enemy soldiers broke, ran. The assault was over. But it wasn't over. Not yet. Elena scanned, looking for threats, looking for anyone who could still hurt Delta Company. There, in the trees, but not in the trees, further, much further. Elena's vision tunneled. She saw past the trees, past the immediate ridgeline, to the second ridge, 3,240 meters away, 2 full miles. There, the real threat, a professional, a hunter, using a closer decoy as bait, waiting for Elena to reveal herself. If she shot the decoy, the real sniper would kill Brennan while she chambered her next round. She had 3 shots left, 1 chance. Range 3,240 meters. Wind was breaking, 44 miles per hour. Northwest, variable gusts, temperature dropping. Bullet flight time would be 4.8 seconds. At this range, the Coriolis effect mattered. The bullet would drift right from Earth's rotation. She'd need to compensate left. Elena was dying. Body temperature 87.9 degrees. Consciousness fading. Vision tunneling to a pinpoint. She could barely see the trees. Couldn't see 2 miles beyond them. But she could hear the wind. Could hear her mother's voice. Could hear Iris. Not 4 seconds late. Exactly on time. She closed her eyes, completely, shut out all visual input, let the world become only sound. She heard it, 2 miles away, a breathing pattern, slow, controlled, the rhythm of a professional sniper settling into position. The sound carried on the wind, distorted, refracted, but there. She aimed, not with her eyes, with her ears. With instinct, with 20 years of training and a gift she tried to bury. Her finger rested on the trigger. She could feel her heartbeat, 60 beats per minute, 55, 50, 45. The space between heartbeats, the space between life and death. She was in that space now, had been for 27 years, always between, always waiting, always 4 seconds too late. Not anymore, she fired, without opening her eyes. 41 shots, 2 remaining. 4.8 seconds passed, the longest wait of her life. Then from 2 miles away, carried on the wind, the sound of a body falling from a high perch. Tumbling, hitting ground. The enemy sniper in the trees never fired. His spotter was screaming. Their ace was dead. Shot by someone who couldn't even see him. Elena opened her eyes. 3,240 meters, she whispered. Exactly on time. She had 2 rounds left, but the main threat was gone. The enemy was routed. Brennan could get clear now. She scanned one more time, looking for any final threats. There, an officer, the last one, trying to reorganize a defensive position. If he succeeded, he could still cause casualties. 42nd shot. The officer fell. 1 round left. Shot 43. Elena held it, waiting, watching, making sure. No more threats. No more targets. Just broken enemy formations retreating in disorder. She'd done it. Held the line. Saved 21 lives. The tower groaned. A long, low, terrible sound. The kind of sound buildings make when they know they're dying. Elena looked down. The last support beam was cracking, splitting. In 5 seconds, maybe 10, it would give way entirely. The tower would fall. She would fall with it. She thought about trying to climb down, thought about surviving, but her body wouldn't respond. She was too cold, too far gone. Her fingers wouldn't grip, her legs wouldn't move. This was it then. This was where it ended. Not with a bullet, but with gravity, a 60-foot fall onto frozen ground. She was surprised to find she wasn't afraid, just tired, so tired. Elena lay back on the tilting platform, looked up at the gray sky. Snow was falling lighter now. The storm was breaking. By dawn it would be beautiful. She closed her eyes, listened to the wind. 42 hertz, her mother's voice. I'll be in the wind, baby. When you feel the breeze, that's me. She felt the breeze, felt her mother's hand in hers. 7 years old, hospital room, the last time she'd felt safe. I'm coming, Mom. I'm coming home. The support beam snapped. The tower fell. Elena fell with it. The world spun. Metal shrieked. Concrete shattered. She was tumbling through space. 60 feet. Terminal velocity for a human body. She'd hit at 47 miles per hour. Every bone would shatter. Death would be instantaneous. She thought of her father, of Iris, of all the people she'd saved today. 21 lives. That had to be enough. That had to matter. She hit something, not the ground, something softer, something that gave way. Snow. Adrift. The blizzard had piled snow 40 feet deep against the tower's base. She hit the snow, went under. The world went white, then dark, then nothing. Voices, distant, muffled, hands digging, light breaking through, air, painful, burning air in her lungs. I found her, she's here, she's alive. Garrett's voice, the man who'd called her worthless, who was now digging through snow with his bare hands, crying, Medic, we need a medic now. More hands, pulling her free, laying her on a stretcher. Someone was checking her vitals. Body temperature 86.4 degrees. She's in severe hypothermia. We need to get her warm immediately. If we don't, she's not dying. Not today. Not after what she just did. Move! The stretcher lifted, started moving. Elena tried to open her eyes, managed it halfway. Brennan's face above her. Stay with us, Ashford. Stay with us. You hear me? That's an order. She tried to speak. Her lips wouldn't move. Her voice was gone. Don't talk. Just hold on. We're getting you out of here. They loaded her into a Humvee, wrapped her in every blanket they had, cranked the heat to maximum. Someone was rubbing her hands, her feet, trying to restore circulation. Elena drifted, in and out. Consciousness was a luxury she couldn't afford. Her body was shutting down, organs failing, muscles breaking down. Rhabdomyolysis, acute kidney injury, frostbite, grade 3, both feet. She was dying, slowly but surely. How long to Sentinel? Brennan's voice. 40 minutes, maybe 35 if we push it. She doesn't have 40 minutes, she has 10, maybe. Then we'd better make it in 10. The engine roared. The Humvee lurched forward, racing through the storm, racing against death. Elena heard voices, felt hands, but it was all distant, abstract, like it was happening to someone else. She was warm now, finally warm. That was good. That meant she was getting better. Except it wasn't good. Warmth at this stage meant her body had given up trying to regulate temperature. Meant her hypothalamus had stopped functioning. Meant death was minutes away. Stay with me, someone was saying. Garrett, he was holding her hand. Please stay with me. My daughter needs to meet you. Needs to meet the woman who saved her father. Please. A daughter. That was nice. Elena tried to smile. Wasn't sure if she managed it. The Humvee stopped. Doors opened. Cold air rushed in. Hands grabbed the stretcher, rushed her inside, into warmth, into light. A voice she didn't recognize. Doctor, medic, someone with medical training. 85.7 degrees. She's peri-arrest. We need active rewarming. Now, get heated blankets, warmed IV fluids. Prepare for cardiac monitoring. More hands, more voices. Elena stopped trying to track them, stopped trying to hold on, Just let go. She was underwater, deep underwater, pressure building, darkness closing in. But she could still hear the wind, still hear her mother's voice. Not yet, baby, not yet. You have more to do. Elena surfaced, gasped. Her eyes flew open. Lights, harsh, fluorescent lights, medical equipment beeping, IV lines running into her arms, heated blankets piled on top of her. A face appeared, young, female, nurse. She's awake. Doctor, she's awake. The doctor came over, checked her eyes, her pulse, her temperature. Welcome back, Specialist Ashford. You've been out for 3 days. 3 days. Elena tried to process that, failed. Her brain was sluggish, foggy. You almost died. Another hour and you would have. Body temperature dropped to 85.7 degrees. That's the lowest I've seen anyone survive. The doctor made notes on a chart. You lost 11 pounds. Your kidneys were in acute failure. You had grade 3 frostbite on 8 of your toes. We had to amputate the tips of 2 of them. Elena looked down at her feet. Couldn't see them under the blankets, but she could feel the absence, the places where parts of her used to be. Small price. 21 lives for 2 toe tips. The math still worked. You have visitors. They've been here every day. All day. Want me to send them in? Elena nodded, tried to speak. Her voice was a croak. Water. The nurse brought water. Elena drank. It hurt going down but felt good. The door opened. Brennan came in first. He looked exhausted, like he hadn't slept in days. You're awake, thank God. Behind him came Garrett. Then Donovan, limping on his injured leg. Then Marcus. Then more. The entire Delta company. All 21 of them. Some bandaged, some limping, but alive. All alive. They stood around her bed, looking at her like she was something sacred, something holy. Garrett spoke first. I was wrong about you. I was wrong about everything. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Elena shook her head, tried to speak. It came out as a whisper. It's okay. It's not okay. I spent 7 months treating you like garbage, making you scrub toilets, humiliating you. And you saved my life anyway. You saved all our lives. That's what you do, Elena managed. You protect, even the people who hurt you. Garrett was crying now, not trying to hide it. My daughter was born 7 days ago now. I named her Sarah, after my grandmother. He paused. But I'm changing it. I'm naming her Elena. Elena Iris, after you. And after the woman who taught you, so she'll know. So she'll always know that women can be warriors, can be heroes, can be better than men like me deserve. Elena felt tears on her own face, warm, real. The first tears she'd cried in 2 years that weren't from grief. Donovan stepped forward. Ma'am, I just want to say, thank you. You saved my life. You saved all our lives, and I'm going to make it count. I promise. I'm going to be better, do better, because of you. Marcus nodded. We all are. Delta Company is submitting a petition. We want you as our permanent marksmanship instructor, if you'll have us. Brennan cleared his throat. It's more than that. The Pentagon has reviewed your actions. 42 confirmed kills and 42 shots under impossible conditions. The longest confirmed kill shot in that storm was 3,240 meters, with no visual confirmation, just sound. He paused. They want to reactivate your Phantom Line status, but on your terms. You design the training program, teach the next generation, pass on what Iris taught you. Elena closed her eyes, thought about Iris, about the woman who taught her everything, who died because someone hesitated 4 seconds too long. She wasn't 4 seconds late this time. She'd been exactly on time. Every shot, every second, exactly when it mattered. I'll do it, she said, but not for glory, not for rank. I do it to protect, to teach others to protect. Nothing else. That's all we're asking, Brennan said. They stayed for another hour, telling stories, laughing, crying. 21 men who'd been given a second chance at life, who were trying to figure out what to do with it. When they left, Elena was alone. She stared at the ceiling, thought about the tower, about falling, about being certain she would die. But she hadn't died. The math had worked out differently than she'd planned. Instead of trading her life for theirs, she'd survived. They all survived. Maybe that was the real lesson. Maybe it wasn't always about sacrifice. Sometimes it was about holding on, about fighting, about refusing to be 4 seconds late even when everything said you would be. The door opened again. Merrick came in. He carried something, a large case, military grade. "Your father sent this," he said. "The rifle I told you about, the Chi-Tac. He said you'd need it when you were ready to start teaching." He set the case on the chair, opened it. Inside was the most beautiful rifle Elena had ever seen. Chi-Tac M200 Intervention, .408 caliber, capable of precise shots beyond 2,000 meters, a true masterpiece of engineering. "Your father also sent a letter. Want me to read it?" Elena nodded. Merrick unfolded the paper, read, "Elena, when you read this, you'll have made your choice. You'll have picked up the rifle again. I'm proud of you. Your mother would be proud. Iris would be proud. But more importantly, I hope you're proud of yourself. Not for the kills, for the lives saved, for the courage to face what scared you most. This rifle is for when you're ready to teach others, to pass on the gift, to make sure no one else has to be 4 seconds late. I love you. Come home when you can. The wind is waiting. Dad." Elena closed her eyes, felt the tears come. Let them. She'd earned these tears, earned the right to feel something besides guilt and grief. 6 months later, Fort Bragg, Advanced Marksmanship Facility. Elena stood in front of a classroom, 28 students, 12 women, 16 men, all of them looking at her with respect, with awe, with hope. She wrote on the board, large letters, "Rule number 1, you shoot to protect, never to prove. Captain Iris Blackwell." She turned to face them. "I'm Senior Instructor Ashford. Some of you may have heard stories about me, about the tower, about the 42 shots. Forget those stories. They don't matter. What matters is why. Why I shot. Why I climbed that tower. Why I was willing to die." She paused. Let that sink in. "I shot because 21 men needed to live. Because they had families, futures, dreams, and I had the skills to protect those dreams. That's the only reason that matters. The only reason that should ever matter." A student raised her hand, young, maybe 20, reminded Elena of herself at that age. "Ma'am, how do you handle the weight, the knowledge that you've taken lives?" Elena smiled, sad but genuine. "You carry it, every single one. You never get used to it. You never should get used to it. The day it stops feeling heavy is the day you need to put the rifle down and walk away." She walked to the window, looked out at the range. "But here's what I learned. The weight is proof you're human, proof you care, and caring is what makes you different from the enemy. They shoot to destroy, to take, to prove. You shoot to protect, to give, to save." She turned back to the class. "My mentor, Captain Iris Blackwell, used to say something. She said, not 4 seconds late, exactly on time. For years I didn't understand. I thought it meant being faster, more precise, never hesitating." Elena paused, touched the dog tags around her neck. Still wore them, would always wear them. But that's not what it means. It means being present, being ready, being the person who steps up when everyone else steps back. It means making the choice even when the choice is hard, even when the choice might cost everything. She looked at each student, met their eyes. "Some of you will wash out of this program. That's okay. Not everyone is meant for this. But those of you who make it through, who earn the right to call yourselves snipers, remember this. You're not here to be killers. You're here to be protectors. There's a difference. Don't ever forget it. The class ended. The students filed out, all except one, the young woman who'd asked about the weight. She approached Elena's desk. "Ma'am, can I ask something personal?" "Go ahead." "Do you ever regret it? Picking up the rifle again? Going back to something that hurt you?" Elena thought about that. Thought about Iris, about her mother, about the tower and the fall, and the long climb back to this moment. "No," she said finally. "I regret the 2 years I wasted being afraid. I regret not picking it up sooner. But the choice to go back, that's the best choice I ever made." The student nodded, left. Elena gathered her things, walked out to the parking lot. Her truck was waiting. She drove north, out of Fort Bragg, onto the highway, heading home. Montana Ranch, 6 hours later. Her father was waiting on the porch. Nathaniel Ashford, 61 now, more gray in his hair, more lines on his face, but still strong, still solid. Elena got out of the truck, walked up the steps. Her father opened his arms. She stepped into them, let herself be held. Let herself be his daughter again instead of Instructor Ashford or Specialist Ashford or the ghost of the tower. "Welcome home," he said. They walked to the range, set up targets at 2,600 meters. Elena brought the chai-tac, the rifle her father had sent, the one she'd been using to teach for the last 6 months. She settled into position. Her father spotted for her, like they'd done 1,000 times before, when she was 8, 10, 15, 20, every age, every stage, always together. "Wind?" he asked. Elena closed her eyes, listened. 48 hertz, northwest, 12 miles per hour, steady. Temperature? 68 degrees, humidity 40%, barometric pressure rising. Range? 2,600 meters, elevation plus 18 degrees. Time to target, 5.4 seconds. She opened her eyes, looked through the scope, found the target. A steel plate, 2 feet across, a speck at this distance, almost invisible. She breathed, in, out. Her heart rate slowed, 60 beats per minute, 55, 50, the space between heartbeats. She fired. 5.4 seconds later, the distant sound of metal ringing. Dead center. Her father smiled. "You've gotten better. I had good teachers. Mom taught me to listen. You taught me to shoot. Iris taught me why it matters." They sat on the shooting bench, watched the sun set over the valley. The wind picked up. 42 hertz, her mother's frequency. Elena closed her eyes, felt the breeze, heard the voice. "I'm proud of you, baby, so proud." "I miss you, Mom." "I know, but I'm here, always here, in the wind, in every choice you make. Every life you save." Elena opened her eyes, looked at her father. "Do you hear her when the wind blows?" "Every day," he said. "Every single day." They sat there until full dark, father and daughter, 2 people who'd lost someone they loved, who'd found a way to keep living anyway, to keep protecting, to keep choosing to be exactly on time. Inside the house, Elena's phone buzzed. Text from Garrett. Photo attached. A baby, 6 months old. Elena Iris Hale. She had her father's eyes, her namesake's determination. Caption, "She smiled today, for the first time. I told her about you, about the woman who taught me to be better. Thank you for everything, Garrett." Elena smiled, texted back, "Raise her to be strong, to be kind, to protect the people who need it. That's all I ask." She put the phone away, walked to the window. The chai-tac was on the table, her father's rifle, Iris's dog tags, her mother's memory, everything that had made her who she was. Not a killer, not a hero, not a ghost, a protector. That's all. That's everything. She touched the dog tags, whispered to the wind. Not 4 seconds late, Iris. Exactly on time. The wind answered. 42 hertz. Her mother's voice. Iris's voice. All the voices of everyone who'd loved her. Exactly on time. Elena closed her eyes, breathed. Let the weight settle. Let it become part of her. Not a burden, a purpose. She'd killed 42 people to save 21. No, that wasn't right. She'd protected 21 people. The kills were just the cost, the math that had to work. And it had worked. The lives had been saved. The choice had been made. But now she understood something else. Something Iris had been trying to teach her all along. The 4 seconds she'd counted on that Syrian rooftop weren't failure. They were the space between who she was and who she needed to become. Between fear and courage. Between hiding and protecting. Iris hadn't died because Elena was slow. Iris died making a choice. The same choice Elena made in the tower. The same choice 28 students would learn to make. Not 4 seconds late, exactly on time. Every single time. And tomorrow, she'd teach 28 students how to make the same choice. How to carry the same weight. How to be exactly on time when it mattered most. That was enough. That was everything. In the darkness, under the Montana stars, Elena Ashford finally understood. She wasn't 4 seconds late anymore. She never had been. The 4 seconds were just the space between heartbeats. The space where choices lived. The space where protectors were born. She opened her eyes. The Montana sky was full of stars. The wind carried voices. Her mother, Iris, all the people she'd saved, all the people she'd lost, all of them singing the same song. You are exactly where you need to be. She smiled, a real smile, the first one in 3 years that reached her eyes. I know, Mom, she whispered to the wind. I'm home, the wind answered. 42 hertz, her mother's frequency. And underneath it, another frequency, 43 hertz. Iris's voice, harmonizing. The two women who'd made her who she was. Together, always. Elena closed her eyes. Let the wind wrap around her. Let the weight settle into something that didn't hurt anymore. Just a reminder, a purpose. In the darkness, under the Montana stars, Elena Ashford finally allowed herself to rest. Not as the janitor, not as the ghost, not as the killer, as the protector, as the teacher, as her mother's daughter and Iris's legacy. Exactly on time, exactly who she was meant to be. The wind sang, and Elena, at last, sang back.